Japan hosted iREX, which is presented as the largest robotics fair in the world, and the event showed us the latest advances in the world of robots and technology trends for the coming years. And as always, we've compiled in this episode the best highlights from iREX 2025. Stay with me and I'll show you everything. Hello, impressed ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carlos Alves, and you're watching Amazing Reality. Let's get to the video. Between December 3rd and 6th, the largest international robotics exhibition took place, allowing robot manufacturers, both from the industrial and service sectors, to showcase the latest and greatest advances in robotics. With 673 exhibitors and more than 156,000 visitors in Tokyo to witness the new era of intelligent machines, iREX brought the following theme to this edition of the event: Sustainable Societies Through Robotics. The goal is to highlight how humans and robots can work together to solve social challenges. In this high-tech trade show atmosphere, physical artificial intelligence and humanoid robots dominated the conversations, indicating that it was not just a showcase of equipment, but a collective vision of a future under construction. Each booth waved a promise: robots capable of interacting with the real world in ways that were once anticipated and unimaginable, suggesting that the line between science fiction and everyday life has never been so thin. For the first time, the robots demonstrated an almost human ability to perceive and react to the environment in real time. At the Fanuc and Iasakawa booths, crowds gathered to watch the mechanical arms that planned their own movements to avoid people who entered their work area. In another corner, a packaging system, let's say SMART, placed the larger items at the bottom and the fragile ones on top, learning how to organize the boxes, like an experienced human worker would. This trend, based on physical AI, combines artificial intelligence, sensors, and robotics to give automatons something similar to situational instinct. The results are machines that no longer just perform pre-programmed actions, but make small adaptive decisions, blurring the line between an obedient tool and a perceptive agent. And yes, it's an exciting breakthrough, although it forces us to think about what happens when a robot starts acting on its own, even on a small scale in our world, right here around us. One of the most cinematic and unsettling scenes at the fair was seeing robots assembling other robots at the NOC Futakosha booth. Articulated arms operated together, assembling robotic components with efficiency that is almost flawless. Metal parts came to life at the hands of the robots, in other words, by other machines. All of this happened in a kind of industrial ballet, precise without human intervention. Seeing machines giving rise to new machines, even if still in a rudimentary way, provokes technological admiration, but also a subtle chill. We are witnessing the beginning of a self-sufficient mechanical forge. If before humanoid robots belonged to fiction or isolated laboratories, at iREX 2025 they appeared en masse and with mundane tasks. Kawasaki, for example, showcased its humanoid Kaleido 9, cleaning a garden, sweeping leaves like a tireless janitor. A scene as mundane as it was extraordinary. At another booth, another humanoid robot danced for the audience, displaying remarkable balance and coordination. Besides the Japanese, foreign startups also brought their androids. The German company Robotics showcased a model interacting in an almost social manner, while the Chinese company Unitree presented its advanced prototype, which even attempted a few dance moves. Seeing these almost human robots performing our daily tasks, from cleaning to entertainment, was both fascinating and unsettling. Well, it's fascinating because we're seeing the dream of personal assistant robots come true, and unsettling because we're looking into the electronic eyes of these creatures. An uncomfortable question: are we looking at our future coworkers, caregivers, or will they be our competitors? The ease with which these humanoids moved among other humans at the fair suggests that living together with machines may no longer be a choice. It could become routine in the next few years before we even notice. And maybe the most surprising fact comes from what couldn't be seen directly, but was announced behind the scenes: humanoid robots coming off the assembly line by the thousands. Chinese companies revealed impressive numbers. Unitree Robotics, for example, manufactured more than 5,500 humanoids just in 2025, far surpassing, by an order of magnitude, the efforts of Western giants like Tesla and Agility Robotics, which were in the hundreds. Its direct competitor, Jibo, also Chinese, likewise surpassed the 5,000 units mark this year. These so-called factory androids are no longer science fiction. They are already being produced in large numbers for industrial use. And this advancement breaks a paradigm. Where once a humanoid robot was an extremely expensive experimental project, now they are products built in series, aiming to scale automated work in warehouses, factories, and even services. The perspective of some enthusiasts, like Elon Musk, for example, is of a planet with robots walking side by side with humans everywhere. It's no longer a cyberpunk delusion, but rather a tangible and deeply transformative possibility. So far, we've seen provocative ideas. Now we'll move into the practical world. iREX 2025 showed that many robots are already ready for real operation, or just a step away from reaching the market. Instead of mere conceptual models, we saw functional machines and commercial products, signaling that the future has already arrived. One of the highlights came from Hyundai Motor Group, which surprised everyone by announcing its first mass-produced robot. And no, it's not Atlas yet, at least for now. Known as Mob Edge, the device is a four-wheeled autonomous mobility platform, about the size of a small coffee table that is capable of carrying loads or equipment around. With incredible stability, the Mob Edge was born as a concept showcased back in 2022 and evolved quickly. Now it appeared at iREX in a version ready for manufacturing, equipped with artificial intelligence and sensors. LiDAR. It is capable of leveling itself on sloped or uneven terrain. Hyundai confirmed two models, the Mob Edge Pro and the Basic, with sales expected as early as the first half of 2026. Both were demonstrated working live at the fair, which was seen as a kind of robotic utility vehicle that could soon be running through factories, hospitals, or even our streets, delivering packages and performing various tasks. Another sign of technological maturity is the evolution of industrial collaborative robots, the so-called cobots. Several exhibitors showed robotic arms designed not to be locked in safety cells, but to work side by side with humans in a safe and efficient way. According to them, Yamaha Motor, for example, brought a 7-axis cobot, going beyond the usual 6 axes that traditional industrial robots use. It may not seem like much, but this extra axis allows for more complex movements, almost like an extra joint, giving the arm flexibility similar to that of a human arm, avoiding obstacles and operating even in tight spaces. At the booth, Yamaha's robot picked up parts in sequence on a super compact workbench, and even with all these challenges, it smoothly avoided surrounding structures, all without barriers or protective fences. This confidence came from advanced sensors and compliance controls. These are the ones that make it yield to touch like a spring, to ensure safety, of course, but it was the humanoid robots ready for work that really captured the imagination. In this edition, in addition to the conceptual demonstrations, some companies indicated that androids are already ready for the real world. The German startup Robotics illustrated this well. Their humanoid, called 4N-1, was seen performing household tasks that are considered simple, such as separating white clothes from colored clothes in different piles. All of this was to show its dexterity and perception. Representatives from Neura highlighted that these robots, standing 1.75 meters tall, are already being used in industrial environments in Europe, performing repetitive tasks, and, according to them, the company envisions putting them to domestic commercial use very soon. In other words, it's not a fictional prototype. The 4N-1 is a product undergoing real tests, pointing to a near future where hiring an all-purpose robot for heavy or monotonous tasks at home could indeed become a reality. And from Asia, the signs are even stronger. As mentioned, Alnatree and other Chinese startups are already producing considerable batches of humanoid robots for their clients, and thousands of them are already in operation or about to be implemented. As early as 2026, these Chinese robots focus on practical applications, such as factory inspection, logistics, and even welcoming visitors, for example. Agabot revealed that it completed its first continuous industrial installation with humanoid robots as early as mid-2025, operating 24 hours a day in a real environment. A milestone that demonstrates the technical reliability, scale, and speed with which these humanoid robots are being implemented indicates that the experimental phase is being left behind. We have already entered the mass adoption phase. Anyone who attended the fair ended up coming across some, to say the least, curious scenes. And one moment stood out as the most bizarre and fascinating of all, the one from Kobakosa Robotics. The company's team presented a robot dog climbing the wall, equipped with tools that, by all indications, would be used to clean windows and building facades. But they didn't just stick to that dog, they also used a humanoid robot from Unitree, equipped with mechanical appendages flailing like living tentacles, very much in the style of the Toro octopus. No one there could quite figure out the purpose of that strange machine, but there was one thing they could be sure of. The robot's movements were teleoperated and followed the gestures of a human operator. Apparently, it would also have the function of cleaning at heights. In a booth next door, an interface in the form of an immersive capsule allowed humans to sit and transmit their movements to a robot that replicated them. their intentions. The developers say that the system is designed to minimize the human operator's energy expenditure. It's seeing a humanoid robot biped go from being a laboratory curiosity to just another employee on a company's staff. It's something that forces us to update our perspectives on the world of work and also automation. And it's worth noting that specialized service robots have also taken a leap toward the market. Traditional component companies have introduced quiet innovations that will soon enable these new types of utility robots. The Japanese company Nippon Seiko Kabushiki Gaisha, for example, showcased ultra-compact rotary and linear actuators that are custom-designed for future humanoid robots. In addition to omnidirectional wheels capable of moving one-ton platforms, such advances in motors, reducers, and sensors don't make the headlines here on Realidad. Impressive, but it's worth noting that they are the ones who will make the next generation of humanoid robots lighter, stronger, and more reliable. This translates into slimmer androids, more powerful cargo drones, and industrial autonomous vehicles capable of moving around with precision. In short, iREX showed that robotics has indeed reached a level of maturity, from basic components to complete systems. All of this is being refined for widespread commercial use. If 2025 showed us robots actually working outside of test cages, we can expect, in the coming years, an invasion of these mechanical intelligences in environments that once seemed exclusive to us: factories, streets, offices, and homes. Why not? And a tech fair isn't just about big launches. Often it's the unusual ideas and subtle improvements that signal profound changes underway at iREX 2025. This became evident in demonstrations of gadgets which are quite peculiar, blending creative engineering and practical vision. A fascinating trend was giving machine senses similar to ours, especially touch. The Chinese company Paxine made its international debut at iREX, drawing attention to its physical artificial intelligence solutions, which are nothing more than embodied robotics with advanced perception and artificial intelligence in command. They presented a new 6-axis tactile sensor based on the Hall effect, an innovative approach using polymers instead of metals, which is capable of capturing tiny forces with high fidelity. But the demonstration that stole the show was a robotic arm, preparing ice cream live for the audience that was there. And it did this thanks to its tactile sensitivity to handle cones and serve perfect portions. And of course, without breaking them or dropping anything. Named Total One, this lightweight robot served ice cream non-stop during the event, in what was announced as the first ice cream shop operated by a tactile robot. At the same time, playful and revealing, this exhibition proved that giving machines skin and touch is not just a gimmick, but an advancement that allows robots to perform delicate tasks that were once exclusive to human hands. It's a curious innovation. Today, a metallic arm making ice cream cones, but it foreshadows a silent transformation. Robots becoming increasingly skilled at interacting physically with our world with gentleness and precision. And among the autonomous robots, one device stood out because it needed a human inside to operate. It was the Arrivi exoskeleton from Skeletonics, a 3-meter-tall robotic suit that doesn't use a single motor. Instead of electric or hydraulic actuators, an ingenious system of mechanical levers multiplies the user's movement. Every gesture of the person inside the suite is mirrored and amplified into giant movements by the structure, converting short steps into giant strides and lifting huge metallic arms with the ease of moving your own arms. The sight of this mecha was pure science fiction. Taking shape, the operator, dressed in an exoskeleton, could greet the audience from above, giving the sensation of a real avatar. Although this suit is designed more for entertainment and immersive experiences, it symbolizes the quest to integrate man and machine in an almost organic way, without noisy engines or autonomous algorithms. This is truly the human who gives life to the robot. This inversion, with technology literally serving as an amplifier for the body, shows a poetic side of robotics. Not just replacing people, but elevating our physical abilities to new heights, almost like a cinematic extension of ourselves. While the bipedal humanoids attracted the spotlight, some exhibitors proposed simpler and quieter solutions for real problems. One example came from Yamazen, which showcased a robot with a humanoid upper half attached to a mobile wheeled base, combining a torso with arms capable of handling objects with an autonomous mobile robot, which is an autonomous mobile robot with wheels for movement. This hybrid approach may at some point seem less glamorous than a 2-legged walking android, but it is extremely practical. Instead of dealing with the complexity of balancing a bipedal robot, why not just give it wheels? To be able to move through the aisles of a warehouse, for example, Yamazen's logistics prototype could carry boxes and place items on shelves. And it did this by moving quite quickly on its wheels without any risk of falling over. And possibly, we will see more robots like this that combine their humanoid shapes, where it's useful with traditional means of locomotion for routine tasks. And a new player in the field of robotics caught attention at iREX 2025. Deep Touch, the company that presents itself as a specialist in androids, realistic companions designed to interact with us, human beings, in real time. According to Deep Touch itself, their humanoid robots are equipped with their own sensory systems and neural networks that combine computer vision, voice recognition, expression analysis, and micro-movements. In practice, this allows a machine to react almost instantly to a person's facial expression, body posture, and tone of voice. During the demonstrations, the robots moved their eyes, slightly changed their expressions, tilted their heads, repeated words spoken by visitors, and displayed rather subtle reactions. Everything was carefully calibrated to create a sense of lively communication. But interestingly, many of the models at the booth remained static, performing only these simple movements, along with arm movements and small playful interactions. Even so, one particular scene caught my attention. A robot sitting on the bed with a doll simulating an elderly person, apparently trying to offer companionship to him. You can see there, the robot was clearly not there to take care of him, but rather to be present. And maybe that's exactly the point. Deep Touch targets markets such as companionship, education, and customer service, areas where contact, empathy, and trust make all the difference. And following this line of discrete robotic innovations, iREX brought examples of robots entering fields that were previously little explored. Shibara Machine presented a robotic cell capable of assembling cardboard boxes and packing bentos, which are Japanese lunchboxes, in a fully automatic way. Dual arms would pick up these food trays, stack them in boxes, and then prepare them for shipping. Yeah, these are repetitive and tedious tasks that we rarely think about, but they consume human time in countless businesses. The demonstration showed that even industrial kitchens can be fertile ground for collaborative automation. Another example, companies were showcasing autonomous security robots designed to patrol large outdoor areas. They were equipped with active suspensions to handle uneven terrain. In other words, not even night patrols in the fields will escape robotics. In a way, silently, machines are taking over these guard rounds, detecting intruders with sensors and their 360-degree cameras. Each of these cases may seem isolated, but together, they point to an omnipresent and silent transformation. Little by little, robots are infiltrating every sphere of our meal preparation. The invisible logistics that supply stores and the security of the spaces where we live and work. Many of these implementations don't make it to the thumbnails of the channel's videos, but they improve efficiency and free humans from repetitive or dangerous tasks. So, my friends, in the quiet of progress, we are moving toward a daily life where automation will be embedded in the little things. And maybe we won't even notice a robot assembling the box for an order we bought, another one that picked out the product, and another robot that packed it, or even rolling creatures that deliver clean towels in a hotel. But they're already there. They're working tirelessly behind the scenes. And as we wrap up this journey through iREX 2025, we're left with the feeling that we've just watched a trailer that gives us a glimpse of the future. The scenes shown in this episode, autonomous robots dodging humanoid people, sweeping gardens, machines building other machines, and even serving ice cream. They make up a narrative where robotics is no longer a distant promise and becomes a protagonist in our daily lives. But what does this dizzying progress mean for us, human beings, as a society and as individuals? Of course, you can answer me well. I can say the following. On one hand, there is an inherent enchantment, isn't there? Just as our ancestors marveled at seeing the first electric lights illuminating the night or the first automobiles surpassing animal traction, we marvel at this robot that seems to understand context, that helps with household chores or works tirelessly side by side with us. Robotics does indeed bring the promise of relieving us humans from dangerous, dirty, or monotonous tasks. An aging global population, like in the case of Japan, sees these automatons as a hope to take care of the elderly, make up for scarce labor, and keep the social machinery running, even with fewer human hands available. It's no coincidence that collaborations like Yasukawa's with SoftBank aim to integrate these robots into offices, hospitals, and stores, so that in the future we can, in quotes, coexist with these artificial intelligences in a safe and collaborative way. The optimistic vision is almost utopian. Human-like robots sharing everyday tasks in harmony, each contributing with their own strengths. We, humans, with creativity, emotion, and critical thinking, and they with tireless strength, precision, and quick calculation. A world where, freed from arduous work, we can dedicate ourselves much more to creativity and to being with each other. In other words, to what truly makes us human. On the other hand, it's impossible to ignore the thread of apprehension that runs through this sense of wonder. Each new advance raises difficult questions. If thinking machines start making decisions on their own, who can guarantee that they will always act in our best interest? Scenes of robots avoiding humans sound positive until we consider scenarios where algorithms dictate preferences, filter information, or even make life or death decisions. In the military context, for example, Robotics made a point of emphasizing a moral commitment to serve humanity and never develop military applications. But not all players will follow this same ethic. Furthermore, the replacement of human labor by robots, even though it eases the workload, brings the specter of technological unemployment. When we see a robot assembling another or dozens of humanoids delivering packages late into the night, we think about the people who used to have those jobs. Tell me, then we will be ready to redefine our economic role. We will have to reinvent our activities. In a society where manual labor and even intellectual work can, in part, be delegated to machines. History has already shown us that industrial revolutions create new professions as they eliminate others. But the speed of robotics and current AI is unprecedented. The mismatch can cause crises if not planned for. There's also the psychological and cultural factor. How will we feel surrounded by robots? A robotic caregiver could address the needs of an elderly population, but will it be able to provide emotional companionship? Or are we at risk of intensifying loneliness by projecting affection onto simulacra? And when the machines make mistakes, because they will we be prepared for accidents and responsibilities? Asimov's laws of robotics are comforting in fiction, but in real life, things are much more chaotic and unpredictable. The vision of the future that iREX 2025 offered is ultimately an invitation to humanity for a new pact. A pact of coexistence with the artificial beings born from our ingenuity. Such coexistence will require more than critical intelligence and balance on our part. We will need to regulate, adapt, and educate both the next generations of humans and the first generations of thinking robots. The goal, of course, is for this partnership to yield positive results. It will be a delicate balance between wonder and caution. As the lights go out in the exhibition hall, there's an almost poetic image of robots and prototypes standing silently in the dark after the audience has left for a few moments. Those automatons remain there, motionless like futuristic statues, but we know they won't sleep for long. Soon they'll be in our factories, on the streets, in our homes. It's up to us, human beings, to decide how they will awaken in the real world. iREX 2025, my friends, showed us impressive machines, but it also reflected back our choices in the movie of this future in the making. We human beings, for now, will continue to be the screenwriters so that we can write the next chapters with wisdom, ensuring that all this technology really serves to make us more human, not less. If you enjoyed this special episode, leave your opinion here in the comments. This helps YouTube share the video with more people and supports me in bringing you tech news. Thanks for staying with me. See you next time. Click one of the two suggestions. I'll wait for you there. Thanks, bye.